You know those days, they just kind of happen to you, right? It's like you're caught in a current, just a blur of reactions and things you have to do. But what if you could change that? What if you could trade that autopilot feeling for a day that was actually designed by you for you? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into. How to craft a day that really, truly reflects who you are and what you want. So let's just start with a really honest question, just for you. Think about the last week. Did it feel like you were in the driver's seat? Or were you kind of just a passenger, watching the scenery fly by? Getting honest about this one question, well, that's the first step to grabbing the steering wheel.
Okay, so what's the biggest thing that keeps us in that passenger seat? It's something I call the busy trap, and we all fall into it. Our calendars are jammed full, our to-do lists are a mile long, and our inboxes? Don't even get me started. We wear busy like it's a badge of honor, a sign that we're productive. But we're about to see why that's mostly just a big illusion.
And this, right here, this is the heart of the problem. Just because you're moving, just because you're frantic, doesn't mean you're actually getting anywhere important. It's a simple idea, but letting that sink in can totally change how you look at your day. I mean, have you ever felt this? You get to the end of the day, you collapse on the couch, you're completely wiped out, and you think to yourself, what did I even do today? That hollow feeling, that's the signature of the busy trap. It really boils down to this key difference. On one hand, you've got motion. That's just spinning your wheels, answering emails like a machine, jumping between a dozen tiny tasks, feeling scattered all over the place. But on the other hand, you've got meaning. That's the good stuff. Deep, focused work, real quality time with people you care about, learning something new. Here's the kicker. Motion burns your energy, but meaning actually creates it. So the big question is, how do we escape this trap? How do we switch from a life of motion to a life of meaning? The answer is you need a compass. And for our purposes, your personal compass is built from your core values. This is how we go from just drifting along to actually directing our lives. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Values can sound a little fluffy, right? Like some nice words on a poster. But they're not. They are super practical tools for making decisions. When you're crystal clear on what matters to you, it's so much easier to say yes to the right things, and maybe even more importantly, to say no to the wrong things. They're your guide. All right, so let's do a quick exercise. Take a second and really think about this. What activities, what conversations, what kind of work leaves you feeling more alive, more fired up than when you started? That feeling, that's your first big clue. And now, let's flip it. What just sucks the life right out of you? What leaves you feeling totally depleted, frustrated, or just blah? The answers to these two questions are an incredible shortcut to figuring out what you really value. The things that light you up are aligned with your values. The things that drain you, they're a total mismatch. Now, look at your answers and try to boil them down into, say, 3 to 5 core values. They might be words like these. Maybe you feel amazing when you're learning something new. Boom, that's growth. Or maybe it's when you're building or making something. That's creativity. The goal here is to find your personal non-negotiables. Okay, so once you've got your compass pointing north, it's time to draw the map. This is the fun part. This is the blueprint for turning those values from just ideas into a real concrete structure for your day. The easiest way to think about it is to break your day into 3 chunks. First, the morning power-up. This is all about setting the tone for the day on your terms. Then, the productive midday. This is where you carve out time for your most important value-driven work. And finally, the mindful evening, which is for truly winding down and recharging, not just zoning out. And here's what that actually looks like. Let's say one of your values is growth. Well, your morning power-up could be 15 minutes of journaling. If another value is contribution, your productive midday might have a solid 90-minute block for deep work on a meaningful project. And if family is a core value, then your mindful evening might be as simple as reading with them, with phones put away. See how every activity is directly connected to a value? Now, within these big blocks of time, it's really powerful to add what I call non-negotiable anchors. These are not big, heavy commitments. They're tiny, simple little habits that act like touchstones during your day, always pulling you back to what you intended. And the great thing about anchors is they're so easy to do, but they pack a huge punch. A 10-minute meditation can totally reset your afternoon. A quick walk after dinner connects you to your body. A 2-minute gratitude list can completely reframe your mind before you go to sleep. Their impact is just so much bigger than the time they take. All right, let's be real for a second.
Life is messy. The perfect day rarely survives contact with reality, right? An unexpected call, a kid gets sick, you wake up with zero energy. It happens. So what do you do then? How do you handle it without just throwing in the towel? The whole thing comes down to mindset. If you see your ideal day as the super rigid rule book, then the first time something goes wrong, you're going to feel like a failure. But if you see it as a living, breathing system, then you understand that it's supposed to be flexible. You can adjust and pivot and reset without all the guilt. This question is your secret weapon for when the day goes completely off the rails. Don't worry about the beautiful schedule you had planned. Just stop, take a breath, and ask yourself this one simple question. What is the one next best step I can take right now? It is such a powerful way to get back on track. When you start doing this consistently, even if it's messy and imperfect, the long-term rewards are absolutely massive. It's not just about having one good day. It creates this amazing ripple effect that starts to transform everything. You start to feel, well, aligned, like your daily actions are finally in sync with what you believe. And because you're more present, your relationships get better, your work gets sharper and more focused, and that little nagging feeling in the back of your head, the one that asks, is this all there is? It starts to get replaced with a real, genuine sense of fulfillment. So please, remember this. This is not about being perfect. It's not about creating some flawless, Instagram-worthy day every single day. It's just about having a direction. It's about knowing that you are the one steering the ship, even if you get knocked around by a few waves. At the end of the day, learning this stuff is great, but it's taking action that actually creates change. So here's the challenge for you. Looking at everything we've talked about, what is the one, just one, small change you're going to make tomorrow to start designing your day? Because your ideal life, it's built one intentional day at a time.